Pick'em 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smokes Off the Radar.
All right, welcome into Off the Radar, taking a look at some of the stories that might get glossed over while we're busy talking Baylor, Big 12, and various other things, Cowboys, etc. But just a few stories of interest today. For one, with the return of college football, one of the things that we can expect to start seeing again is the big announcements for college game day locations throughout the season. And obviously that's been something that's been of note and been exciting a couple of times here in Waco, just across the street over at McLean Stadium. But College Game Day has announced their first two locations for the upcoming season. No surprise, their second week, because there is a week 0, but week number 1, not much of a surprise that they're going to be at a pretty big game involving this team called Clemson. Yeah. Clemson's going to be playing a pretty big game, and they're going to obviously be a part of that one. But we'll get to that in a moment, because the first game that you will see on College Game Day is actually going to be a part of the MEAC SWAC Challenge kickoff. The HBCUs are getting highlighted to start off week 0 for College Game Day. Will feature North Carolina Central and Alcorn State. That is a 6 p.m. kickoff, but that is how they will kick off the season. And then the following week, they will be, of course, in Charlotte for the big matchup, the Dukes Mayo Classic, Clemson and Georgia. They're in week number 1. But week 0, a nod to the HBCUs, and a big time platform for a couple of teams out of the HBCUs with North Carolina Central and Alcorn State.
The Dukes Mayo Classic, otherwise known as Jennifer Smoke's favorite.
Yes.
Favorite classic.
God, she just. I bet
do you think she will not watch that game, biggest sports fan as she is, because of the overwhelming amount of mayonnaise commercials?
It might overwhelm her.
Probably, yeah.
It might overwhelm.
The marching bands from both schools will also be in attendance and performing as well, so that adds that extra flair that the HBCU, has that halftime show flair that is not necessarily evident across the rest of the country, although a lot of bands do a good job. So, yeah, it'll be that HBCU, North Carolina Central, Alcorn State, week 0, Clemson and Georgia in week number 2. So there's your College Game Day schedule thus far, and I'm excited to see old Georgia and Clemson. That should be one heck of a ball game there early on. But no Trevor Lawrence, and there's going to be a lot of moving pieces. No Justin Fields. I mean, this is a great matchup. Last year you get Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, and now you're going to get brand new quarterbacks, but that might make it more fun.
I'm trying. This is maybe a little bit short-sighted, which, of course, this is what we do, but what's a non-conference game that doesn't involve what seems like the 5 or 6 teams that are always involved? Like, I know that there are certain teams that have added some really nice non-conference games coming up, whether it's Oklahoma, and they've always played a great non-conference schedule. Well, not a great one. There's been some that haven't. What Texas has done over the next several years in front of them. I know Alabama's coming on the radar. Well, obviously Baylor. But give me a cross-country. Is the West so weak right now that wouldn't it be great to see Clemson and USC? Is there a game that's different than what Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, whatever?
Boise State at UCF that's a pretty interesting one, and that's across the country.
That would be interesting if, in fact, they ever do truly expand and win the year they do.
Well, this year we get Oklahoma, Nebraska. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I can't wait for that. That'll be such. Back in the day, of course I would love that one. It could be 50-7, but still, that's fresh again because it's been a decade or so.
I don't know how many times. The same people who are mad that I don't know the entirety of the UT football team entering this season can be mad that I also don't know every part of the schedule for college football. But I don't know about a lot of the other matchups. It does seem like Georgia-Clemson, even though they haven't played a ton, it does seem like they have played an awful lot.
Yeah, maybe.
An interesting one. And again, LSU at UCLA, I mean, that's it would be better if UCLA was good, and I don't know how good LSU is going to be.
UCLA does not mind playing people. They may not win many of those, but
Louisville Ole Miss is on Labor Day, which
that doesn't tickle my fancy. I know it probably should.
Georgia Clemson have only played twice since 2003.
See, that's crazy. It seems like they've played like 9. Okay, all right.
No. So, that's going to be one of the big matchups right there out of the gates. Peyton Manning and Eli Manning are going to be a part of Monday Night Football, but not in the way you were probably expecting if I would have just read the headline. They're going to be a part of an alternate Monday Night Football broadcast for the next 3 seasons. The Monday Night Football megacast will air on ESPN2. There will be 10 games in each of the next 3 seasons with this broadcast, this megacast set up, and there will be not only the Manning brothers, but apparently a number of other current and former players and celebrities that will be a part of these broadcasts as well. So the megacast will debut the first 3 weeks of 2021 season. That will include the Monday Night Football opener between the Ravens and the Raiders, and they will announce the remaining 7 weeks outside of the first 3 as the season progresses. They're going to have the same Monday Night Football crew on the main broadcast for the second year in a row: Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, Louis Riddick, Lisa Salters, and John Perry. But now they're giving you options. If you don't like that crew, you can watch the Manning brothers and their all-star cast of special guests or whatever. But both of them out of the game now. So we knew Peyton was going this route somehow, but maybe this is not how we expected it to start off. But he gets to join his brother, so that's cool. I want to
hear him. I mean, Eli's always thought of as not as personable as Peyton, but it's not like, again, and I'm not so sure Peyton was all that sometimes dry paint on a wall. Hey, Peyton, those two know the game.
Peyton and Cooper Manning, and I said that right, Cooper Manning, host a game show that's like college, like they have rivals, so it would be Texas and Oklahoma in like a quiz bowl format, and they're great. They're very entertaining and great with it, and I think Eli and Peyton together would be awesome.
Yeah, it should be cool. So that's going to be an option for you for at least 10 broadcasts this year, including the first 3 weeks, Monday Night Football. You can check out the Manning brothers on the megacast. On Saturday, Red Sox outfielder Alex Verdugo got a ball tossed at him by a Yankees fan, and today the Yankees announced over the weekend that that fan has been banned not only from Yankee Stadium but all other 29 ballparks in Major League Baseball. He is not allowed to attend a Major League Baseball game after that incident.
What if it was worth it?
Verdugo got, and rightfully so.
Yeah, he was hot.
I'll tell you this. You remember Tom Goodwin that used to play for the Rangers? He is the Red Sox first base coach, and he was the first guy out there, and I got to tell you, still got it. He's still running a little bit. It's the first thing I noticed about that was Tom Goodwin got out there in a hurry and calm Alex Verdugo down, so he didn't do anything that but he was justified in feeling how he did. And I think this goes back to, though, guys, I think people have forgotten how to act in public.
They have. They absolutely have. Like, I don't know what's wrong with people.
Is that because they weren't in public for a long time, or have we not seen this anyway?
I saw it up close and personal on the roadway coming back from media days. Total angry situation. And I've noticed it on the roads, just people driving angry and no regard for other people, or no care, really. It's not even a regard. It's just they don't care. There's just a selfishness now that is so clear when interacting with certain folks that it's sad, quite frankly, is what it is. But what's not sad is this fan's been banned from every Major League Baseball stadium, so he will not be throwing anything at any Major League Baseball player anytime soon. The Yankees came out with a statement. They're like, yeah, this is a big rivalry, but come on, we're not going to support stupid behavior. So
there won't be anybody attending Eagles games ever.
Yeah, probably not.
I mean, the guy pegged him straight in the back with a ball.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. NBA Finals tonight. The Milwaukee Bucks have a chance to win the NBA title and put an end to the Suns' run. The Suns were up 2-0. Now it's 3-2 Milwaukee. And one of the greatest all-time playoff sequences in the last game towards the end with the steal and the alley to Giannis and the foul, the and one on that play, and just the eruption, man. It's like that John Cena pop I was talking about, but that eruption. So tonight, Giannis and company looking to close it on out. As you might imagine, this is already a pretty expensive ticket as Bucks fans are expecting to see their team potentially win the title tonight. All you would need to basically find a ticket tonight at this point would be to have at least $1,000, because the cheapest ticket available, and this was earlier today, was $1,098 for a standing room only ticket. So that was your cheapest option. If you want to sit down, you're running at least $1,500, and you're not going to be anywhere close to the court. But there's also a courtside seat that you can grab. That'll only cost you $20,250.
I'll take 2.
Yes. And
for some, that's not a big deal.
So it's not that. Yeah, exactly. Like there's some people who are just like, that's $20 to them. And I don't know what that must be like. But so there are.
That'll be where Drake sits tonight.
Exactly. Yeah. The big whoever, probably Bucks fan tonight, I would think, as they get close to a championship. But it is a big, hot, expensive ticket, as you might imagine. Milwaukee is a slight favorite. They are at home, and they can close it out tonight, and that will be an 8 o'clock tip-off on ABC. Phoenix at Milwaukee, Game 6, and you want to add on to that there?
Is there a bigger gut punch than losing Game 5 at home to have to go on the road?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's and look, I'm this is the first NBA Finals in a long time where I legitimately don't care.
Me neither.
I mean, like most of the time, I don't care who wins it as much as it is I would want certain people to lose. But this one, I don't care. It'd be great. It's great for the league that Phoenix and Milwaukee are in this. It's not a retread. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Is it awesome for TV ratings?
I guess it has been so far, I think.
If only someone had a piece of paper with the ratings for the most recent NBA Finals on
Yes,
there.
all right. So in 2020 doesn't count, right? It's the bubble. 2021 ratings compared to last year. Every single game, 5 million, 5 million, 4.5 million, 3 million, 9 million less viewers. And so tonight's Game 6, they're not going to get to anything close, even though it could be a deciding game. And Milwaukee's not a huge market, and Phoenix is a big market, but they're not like thought of as LA, New York, or whatever. But the numbers, and here's the problem if you're the NBA. You have one of the great young stars in your game right now in Giannis, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, this guy's a badass. And also Middleton's a kind of a tough guy. And then
He's a damn good player.
I like him a lot.
Former Aggie, too.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's the toughness of that team along with Drew Holiday, who
He's
got
the one that had the steal.
Smoked in the first game or two.
He had the steal in the alley that just set it all off the other night.
But Giannis, I never, I heard he won MVPs, and I never really, I guess, saw him much. And I've watched, obviously, a lot of the games he's played. I remember that series. It was a series against Brooklyn. Was it against Brooklyn that they had to win? But the ratings for the NBA Finals have been an absolute. Game 5 was 9.4 million, which is not even the least viewed game in this series. Game 1 was less, and so was Game 2, and so was Game 3. They are down dramatically.
Yeah, and there's a 2019 comparison because obviously last year was an outlier, and they've only lost about 4 million viewers on average, it looks like. 3 to 4 million for every game compared to 2 years ago. So, I know that's where nobody has cable anymore, man. I know that's where that comes in, and that's absolutely true. But one of two things needs to happen. We either need to hurry up the process of figuring out how to get all these other ways of watching identified and actually count into ratings. And we also need to realize not everybody – I still have cable. I know plenty of people who have cable. I know a lot of people have cut the cord. But there's still plenty of people that have it. So it's kind of hard to tell. Is that cord cutting or is that interest or is that whatever? And that's why it'd be great to have something that really know whether it's cord cutting or if it's interest.
Yeah, and it's because 2019, which I compared them to, you had Curry, and Golden State was a rock band.
And that's a big reason.
And Raptors had, Kawhi? Is that what? Yeah, trying to lead them to
it. You're also talking about Toronto, which is gigantic. And sports fanatics in that city.
Yeah, but the Canadian ratings don't count.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so, I mean, that had a lot of storylines. This one's been kind of it's like aging Chris Paul, and you've got the Devin Booker factor. I mean, there's some stories, but nothing like what was 2 years ago with Kawhi and the Raptors and all of that. So,
as much as it can be refreshing that it's not LeBron and whoever else again.
It matters. It does matter.
It does matter when it comes to that. I used to get very angry when I was younger about, if the Cowboys aren't playing or, you hear about if it's not Texas and Oklahoma, and I get where people come from there. It used to, it bothered me because, but it's the two best teams. Well, when it comes to the ratings, it's not always the two best teams. It's the two biggest markets.
Yeah, and that doesn't always work either. I mean, sometimes you can get Dodgers and Yankees, and it's a stinker, and whatever. But speaking of LeBron James, Space Jam debuted. in theaters and on HBO Max over the weekend, and it took number one at the box office, $31.7 million in America. It beat out Black Widow, which has been hyped for like well over a year now at this point because of the stop-start release dates that they had, which was a bit of a surprise. Was not expected to beat out Black Widow, but the weird thing is kind of like with TV ratings. It's like so many people are watching these movies as they're released. They're watching them at home. They're watching them on Disney Plus rather than going to the theater. And there's all these other options now. So even theater totals are kind of skewy at this point as well.
Movie theaters are going to have to adjust what they expect from now on. Now, this Premier Access and HBO Max is going to go away at the end of at the end of 2021. So in 2022, the new arrangement for movies is it will come out and then it'll come to Premier streaming in 45 days, where it's been 90 days for video on demand before. So it's 45 days. So every big movie has got to make its like what you want in theaters in 45 days now instead of 90.
Wow, I thought it was longer than 90. It used to be
sometimes
months.
feels
It's
that
just a
way,
feel for it,
But
90 days for video on demand, and then for video, like back when we used to rent movies at Blockbuster. I know the youngins have never been in a Blockbuster.
Y'all would have loved it. It was actually awesome.
Yeah,
now
it's great.
looking back on
but
it,
when Blockbuster was
awesome.
like 6 months, so like if a movie came out on April 1st, then October 1st you could rent it. So if you missed it in the theaters, you had to wait till October 1st. And then video on demand was like 120 days, and then it moved back to 90, and then as more and more people went to streaming. Now, I mean, I watched Black Widow on Premier Access on Disney Plus. I probably should have gone to see it in theater, but I just wanted to see what the experience was like in my house, and it was great. I've watched every HBO Max movie that's come out that I've wanted to see at my house.
I'm surprised to see Black Widow was out a week before, so a lot of its early fervor died off, but it was still number 2, $6 million behind Space Jam domestically. That Fast 9's not doing well. That the 9th installment of the Fast and the Furious franchise didn't even debut at number 1. It debuted at number 2, and this week it's already at number 4. So it's not doing all that well.
It's missing the person that people go see.
Yeah, well, that has a lot to do with it. So I'll end on this note. Deion Sanders already making waves at media days. I don't know about this, but this is Deion for you. So he's at media days, and there's a reporter there named Nick Suss from the Clarion Ledger. This is SWAC Media Day at the Sheraton Birmingham, and this was earlier today. And apparently this reporter called Deion by his name. He called him by the name Deion. And Deion took offense to this and said, "You don't call Nick Saban Nick, don't call me Deion. If you call Nick Nick, you'll get cussed out on the spot, so don't do that to me. Treat me like Nick," is what Deion said to this reporter. This reporter said, "Well, actually, I've covered Alabama, and he's covered a ton of different beats. He just was covering Mississippi State in the College World Series. He was on that beat for the Clarion Ledger. This is like his second SWAC Media Day, I guess." And so he tells Deion, when I interview people, I call them by their first name, whether it's someone I've been working with for years or someone I'm talking to for the first time. This is true of coaches and players on the Ole Miss beat, Mississippi State, Southern Miss, whoever I help out with, even Deion Sanders. So Deion apparently threw a fit over this, ended up walking out eventually because he was called by his first name, Deion. And he said, you don't call Nick Saban, but it turns out that reporter, when he has interviewed Nick Saban, absolutely calls him Nick, and there is not an issue whatsoever.
Do you know who wouldn't throw a fit about being called their first name? Nick Saban.
Yeah, exactly right.
I mean, you just
exactly
wouldn't do
right.
it.
Yeah. So
that's Deion's going to learn. I hope he learns. I also hope he then contacts the reporter personally, but I don't know if he will, but personally, and go, "Listen, I just got out of my skis. I got over my skis." Because that sounds like there's a little bit too much. He's actually the one showing disrespect.
Oh,
Deion.
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And you know what? Maybe he does realize it, but it's also Deion, so maybe he thinks he's still in the right. But I thought that was a total clown move on his part. And, how about you win like Nick Saban, and then we'll give you the Saban respect. I mean, I know you did it in your playing career, but now you're being asked questions like a coach by reporters, so you're going to get treated like a coach who went 4-3 last year and hadn't really proven anything yet.
Out of force of habit, I call most people coach, but I'm not afraid to call.
No.
Hey,
Dave.
But Deion
Dave, what do you think about the linebackers?
Is confident and
Yeah, I'm 41 years
Hall
old.
of Fame is
Exactly, dude. I'm not a child.
He's been a little overly sensitive on a few things before.
Of course.
Yeah.
So that's maybe one of his most overly sensitive moments. Not a good look for Media Day, but it probably got way more attention because did anybody know SWAC or whatever he's in is having a Media Day?
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't either.
But I'm happy they are, and I'm happy they're
Yeah.
getting some attention. But yeah,
there's a few things off the radar.
and see, he's in this position, Deion, with what's going on with the HBCUs, to be like a beacon for them, and it just kind of was kind of a little bit of small town to me for Deion. It's like
wait for Eddie George. Somebody go Eddie, and he'd be like, "Yes."
Yeah.
I mean, because
by
he's
the
at
way,
that same
and we got to play this one too. This has got to add to it. So Paul and I were talking about this in the break. 6 Polish swimmers sent home from the Tokyo Olympics because the country accidentally sent too many.
6 too many. Not one.
They sent 23 athletes to Japan instead of 17.
How many Polish jokes have been made as a result
I'm
of this
sure.
article by
there's
people
tons.
across the country? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
The
sure
group
tons.
have since threatened legal action, of course, and have called for the head of the Polish
6.
Swimming Federation to resign.
Now, look, if you sent 18 and not 17, maybe you let somebody stay there because, like, what's the difference?
But you know what? This is insane. But you can't.
6.
How do you not? This
At
is
least
like
you-
Mark Emmert would do this.
At least you have a group of people to console, and
Yeah,
share the
not
same.
just you.
No, that's a ridiculous error, and I don't know how you even allow that to even come close to happening. I don't know how you screw up that badly, but that stinks for those involved for sure.
Here's the President Paweł Slemiński apologized, said he fully understood the anger. I expect great regret, sadness, bitterness about the situation related to the qualification of our swimmers for the Tokyo Games. Situation should not take place. The reaction of the swimmers, their emotions, the attack on the Polish Swimming Federation, understandable to me and justified. It was an error. It was due to the desire to allow as many players, coaches as possible to take part in the games, but they just lost count. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
Deion's not backing up, by the way. I just saw him tweet a couple of things. But, yeah, that's very unfortunate about the Polish team. And, yeah, that's just a stupid error for sure.
All right, so
But, yeah, Deion's basically retweeting a couple people that are in agreement with him. Some kid who DM'd him and told him that he was there and that there were – like – here's what Deion just did. So a guy sends Deion, "Good afternoon, Coach Prime. My name is Jonathan Dobbins. I was in the SWAC Media Day Zoom room when that reporter disrespected you by calling you Deion. I was looking forward to asking you a question and understood why you left early. Would it be possible to set up a virtual interview?" And Deion retweets this and says, "Anytime, and thank you for seeing this foolishness." You just exposed this kid, whoever this is, to every other reporter who now knows he's a narc who's going behind their backs.
Yeah.
So you just did that. Congrats, Deion. And you're the one that looks like a fool.
Yeah.
And how you don't see that makes you even more of a fool.
Yeah, that
Silly.
guy might get baked himself.
Deion.
Yeah.
Deion.
Yeah. I'm surprised he's not pissed because you didn't call him Prime.
Oh, if he ever is on the show, which he never will be, but if he ever is, I'm calling him Deion. If he hangs up the phone, so be it. But he's not getting called Mr. Sanders by a grown-ass man. I'm not doing that.
We had him on a Super Bowl one year, and he was great, but it was the drama leading up to it of which we had to kiss the ring.
Yes.
Well, we didn't know. It was almost as if he wanted us to.
He has to be
like,
buttered
he was
up.
so pissed off he had to take 5, 8, 10, 12 minutes with the radio station in Waco when we've had 150 Hall of Fame greats on the show of what we've done over the last, well, for me, 40
He's one of the
years.
only 2 people I can remember that. I was just making small talk while we're sitting and waiting. Like, he and I are from the same hometown. We both moved to Florida State. Like, I mentioned, like, hey, we have a mutual friend, which we did. I mentioned this mutual friend. He's like, yeah, I know him. I was like, I'm just trying to make small talk. Like, I'm not, I should have been like, oh my gosh, Deion, you're
man,
here.
that's that worship stuff that I don't get down with. But I do love that I want to move away from Prime here in a second. But Deion Sanders, this is a tweet from 49 minutes ago. Deion Sanders wants to know why the media doesn't give HBCU more football coverage. I don't know. Maybe they showed up to talk to you and you got mad about being called the name that you were given at birth and you walked out like a big baby. Maybe that's why more people don't waste their time going to the Sheraton
That's
Hotel.
my whole point about he has a chance to be
Idiot.
a beacon, to be like someone who gives that group of schools, the SWAC, HBCUs, and he's done a pretty good job. They've gotten more attention in the last 8, 9, 10, 12 months than I can remember since the great days of when Jackson State and Grambling, among others, Mississippi Valley State, were a part of the conversation much more than they are today. When we come back, more to come, the 5 o'clock hour. John McClain, Houston Chronicle, and this is Sikkim 365 Radio.